Right now, your heart is beating a little faster than it was an hour ago. Maybe it was a message you got. Maybe it was a bill. Maybe it was nothing you can even name. But something inside you flagged it as a threat, and your body responded before your brain finished reading the sentence. That response is not modern. It is not caused by stress culture or social media or the pace of contemporary life. It is approximately 300,000 years old. And to understand why it still runs your body today, you have to go back to the world that built it. Not the world of history books, the world before them. The world where the thing trying to kill you was not abstract. It was standing at the edge of the firelight. For most of human existence, fear was not a feeling, it was a calculation. Every single morning that an early human woke up, their nervous system ran the same scan it had run the night before. Predators, darkness, heights, contamination, strangers, separation from the group. These were not phobias. These were the categories of death. And the humans who feared them correctly were the ones who lived long enough to become your ancestors. The ones who did not fear them correctly did not. That is the first thing to understand about ancient human fear. It was not irrational. It was a filing system built entirely from survival data. The most documented fear across every early human population on record was not death in the abstract. It was predators. Specifically, being hunted, being watched, being approached from behind in the dark. Anthropologists studying sites from the Paleolithic period found evidence of deliberate sleeping arrangements designed to minimize ambush vulnerability. Groups slept in circles, fire on the outside, the most vulnerable in the center. This was not comfort. This was defensive architecture built entirely around the awareness that something was watching. Leopards were among the most feared predators in the African landscape where early humans evolved. They are silent. They hunt at night. They drag prey into trees to prevent other animals from stealing the kill. Researchers found early hominid bones with leopard tooth puncture marks inside tree branches, stored there, like food. The fear of being carried away in the dark is not irrational. It is the correct response to a documented event that happened to members of your species for tens of thousands of years. Your brain kept the blueprint even after the leopards were gone. That is why a dark parking lot at midnight still produces the same physiological response as a savanna at night 200,000 years ago. The environment changed, the hardware did not. But predators were only one category. The second great fear of ancient humans was not a creature. It was each other. Intergroup violence is one of the most well-documented features of early human populations. Studies of skeletal remains from the Paleolithic and Mesolithic periods show healed and unhealed trauma consistent with deliberate, repeated violence. Arrows, clubs, blunt force to the skull. The fear of strangers was not prejudice, it was probability. An unfamiliar human at the edge of your territory was statistically more likely to be a threat than a trading partner. Your brain was built inside that probability. And it still runs those numbers. The discomfort you feel around someone you do not know is the same ancient calculation, the same nervous system doing the same math it has always done. But here is what makes ancient fear different from the story most people assume. It was not constant. It was not paralyzing. Researchers studying contemporary hunter-gatherer populations found something unexpected. The people living closest to the conditions of ancient humans were not anxious all the time. They were attuned. Fear was not a background hum. It was a signal, specific, useful, and brief. The Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer groups on Earth, report low levels of chronic anxiety despite living in environments with real predators, real scarcity, and real physical danger. The fear turns on when it is needed, then it turns off. That is not what happens in a modern human brain. Modern humans have taken the same fear hardware and exposed it to an entirely new class of threat, threats that never resolve. A predator either attacks or it retreats. The encounter ends. A debt does not retreat. A social conflict does not resolve in one night. A health scare does not reveal itself and disappear. The ancient fear system was not built for threats that last months or years. It was built for threats that last seconds. So it keeps firing and firing and firing. The chronic anxiety that defines modern human experience is not a malfunction. It is a 300,000-year-old system being asked to process a type of threat it was never designed to handle. There is one more category of fear that researchers consistently underestimate when they talk about ancient humans: the fear of the dead. Burial practices appear in the human fossil record far earlier than most people expect, at least 100,000 years ago, possibly earlier. The act of burying the dead is not just grief. Anthropologists argue it is, in part, fear management. The body of a group member who died from disease was a contamination threat. The body of someone killed by a predator was an attractant for that predator. But something else was happening too. Symbolic burial goods, red ochre pigment, flowers, tools placed with the dead. These are not sanitation practices. These are something more complicated. Evidence that ancient humans feared not just death, but what came after it. The thing standing at the edge of the firelight was not always an animal. Sometimes it was the memory of someone who used to sit beside the fire. And the fear of that, the fear of what cannot be explained or outrun, may be the oldest fear of all. Your nervous system is not broken. It is ancient. Every alarm it sounds, every threat it flags, every night it keeps you awake, running calculations that is 300,000 years of survival data asking you to pay attention. The world it was built for is gone. But it has not gotten the message yet.